Thanks so much for joining me for the don'ts of Chanel foundations. I have tried all of the foundations that Chanel has to offer, but this is literally years in the making, this video, because I wanted to try them all out, give them a good go, try them in different weather situations, and then see how they perform after months, which ones I pull for the most. And hopefully this will be helpful for you if you are new to Chanel and you have not tried any of their foundations yet, or if you've already started trying them and you're trying to figure out which ones are good for you. We're gonna jump right in and I'm going to film some try-ons for you, so you'll see all of these on my skin as well. So I'm gonna do that after, so hopefully it goes okay. I will put inserts in as I talk about each foundation. Starting with this product, this is the travel version of it, but it's about my, gosh, I don't know, 4th or 5th bottle of this. This is a water fresh tint, and it's one of those products that either you love or you loathe because it's such a specific kind of product. So this comes in 8 shades, and that's one of my first don'ts, is don't think that the shade offerings are the same for every foundation. So as I talk about these, you're gonna hear there are 8 shades available or there are over 30 shades available. So just know that there are not the same amount of shade offerings per item. So this one has 8 shades, and the shade ranges are also different. Another don't is that don't think that their coatings are the same for each product. So for this one, the shades are in light, medium, deep, and some combination of that. So the range starts at light, and this one goes to deep plus. This is more of a gel texture, lightweight, refreshing. It's got encapsulated powder in there, and I don't see it written down there anywhere, but when I talked to a Chanel representative, this is what they told me this product is, so it can set itself. Now that's a unique aspect amongst any foundation, regardless if it's Chanel or not. This one has a really nice job of setting itself. The finish here is glowy, not oily. This is a barely there, almost imperceptible makeup product. If you're expecting a visible product here, you're not going to see it. You're going to see a nice light veil on the face and something that's a bit blurring on imperfections, but it's not going to cover up the skin in any way. So it is more sheer. It's slightly buildable, but I wouldn't rely on this to build up. It does claim to have 8-hour hydration, which means this is a more hydrating product. And the wear time is quite good, again, because of the encapsulated powders. Once it sets, it pretty much stays in place. Some of the pluses are that it's in a pump here. You can get a travel size as well. It's a very low maintenance makeup type of product. Again, no powders necessary, and what I love the most about this is that it can be used to touch up makeup. So if your makeup is getting a little bit dried out or settling into pores, you can go in with this. It will emulsify that makeup and reset it as if you had reapplied makeup. So this has come in so handy as a lifesaver for me so many times. That is why I continue to repurchase this over and over. Many of you who have been here before have seen me do that, where I emulsify my makeup and it resets it. So this definitely comes to the rescue and it's a great fix-it. 75% water, and in the US it retails at $70 for 1 ounce. This also does come with a brush, but I don't use a brush for that. Next up is the Water Fresh Complexion Touch, which is like the big sister to the Water Fresh Tint. So this one has less water, and as you can see, there's more pigment in here compared to this one, so you're going to get more coverage. This one has 16 shades, but this time it's in the B, BD, BR coating. Another don't is don't mix up the coating for each of these, because beige is more like your neutral. Then you've got BD, which is beige doré, so it's got more of a golden undertone, and then BR, which is beige rosé, which has more of a pink undertone. So I'm gonna go for more BD, beige doré, because I have more golden undertone when possible. If it's available, I will go for that. So we have here BD10 to BR172, so it's got quite a large range compared to the Water Fresh Tint, and mine is in, interestingly enough, B30. So I use this more as a concealer than anything else. Before they came out with the Sublimage eye concealer, I was using this as eye concealer because it has a nice lightweight consistency. In fact, this is touted as something that can be used as a concealer. And last night, I just wanted to revisit this. I used the Water Fresh Tint and then did go in with this as a concealer under the eye, works really beautifully, as well as on my dark spots. And I didn't really need to set this, and in fact, I don't think I did set this because the climate right now is really quite cool and dry. So that is another don't, is don't forget to to think about the climate that you're in, because these will perform differently based on the climate you're in. This also has that gel-like texture. It melds with the skin. This is said to have a luminous natural finish, which I agree with. Medium coverage on this one. It has more than the Water Fresh tint. This claims 12 hours of hydration. So even though there's less water, it claims more hydration time. Pros are it can be used as a concealer. It's a bit more buildable than the Water Fresh tint. But I think a con here is that it's so close to a foundation that I'd rather pull for a foundation product than this, because it's a little bit of work to break up those micro pigments in there. So you've got to do this on your hand and then apply it. So it's like an extra step. But if you like the finish of the Water Fresh tint, it has a very similar finish to that. So this skincare makeup hybrid is something that can be used both as concealer and foundation. For 0.68 ounces, this is $70 in the US. Next up, we have the Le Beige Healthy Glow. This one has 35 shade options. This follows the beige, beige doré, beige rosé format. So you're gonna find that combination of undertones from BD01 to BR172. This is a liquid, lightweight, silky kind of texture. And this again has that fresh, healthy glow. So another don't is don't think that Chanel foundations are going to perform like most other foundations out there, in that a lot of foundation companies out there, I find, create products that cover up the skin. They almost mask the skin. They're so full coverage. Not all, but I noticed many of them are. So Chanel foundations really strive to let the skin show, which is why I think I love them so much. And that's because it's all about enhancing the skin, not covering the skin. So you're gonna find most of these are from a sheer to medium coverage. Some are more buildable than others. The whole goal is to really enhance the skin though, and not cover it up. So definitely don't think that this is going to be like most foundation lines. This also has light reflecting pigments in it. And the goal for this one is to look as if you had spent a day out in nature. So this claims to have 12 hours of wear, but I think this really comes down to skin type. And that's another don't I have for you. Don't forget to take into account your skin type, because that's going to impact the performance of the product. At the end, I'll give a ranking and I'm going to talk about my favorites, and it'll be based on my skin type. That'll be one of the big factors that we're talking about, because I have combination skin. So I have more oily skin in the middle. I'll have oil break through during the day, and then on the exterior, it's more normal. It can tend to go dry, but I don't have any flaky patches or anything like that. So my dry skin is not like some other dry skin types where I know that flaky skin can be an issue. I know that's a challenge for dry skin types. So know that my combo skin isn't like oily and really dry. It's more like oily, normal to dry at sometimes, but mostly oily and normal. So if I like a foundation, if you're dry skin, you're probably going to want to think the opposite of what I'm saying I prefer, because dry skin types will probably like the foundations that I actually don't like as much. So a plus for this is that I think dry skin types will really like this. For a con though, I think if you are more oily, this is not going to be the first one you'll pull for, but let me know, of course, if you have any of these, what your skin type is, if you love it, or if you have different information, please leave it in the description box below. But this is based on my experience with these. This one is said to have over 40% water, so that hydration aspect is built in there. And this one also claims to help protect against pollutants. And for 1 ounce, this is $65 US. Then we've got the number one to Chanel. This is $75 for 1 ounce. There are 29 shade offerings with this foundation, and that's starting with BD01 and BR172. I have a lot of notes here because I wanted to make sure I had all of the correct information for you. So if I look down, I'm checking my notes. The texture on this is moisturizer-like and lightweight. And then you have a satin, glowy kind of finish with this as well. But again, I think this one really depends on skin type. This has a plumping, smoothing effect, and also is said to have a glowing finish. That's another don't I have for you. Don't think that all of the foundations have the same finish. In fact, if you go to the Chanel site, and I'll list them for you in a moment here, they talk about coverage as well as finish. So this finish is categorized as glowing. This is a sheer light to medium coverage, and I remember when I tried this out, I tried to build it up. And actually it does build up. It takes a little bit more work because it is so hydrating. So it's not the first product I'm going to pick to build up, but you definitely can do that. For me, the longevity was not amazing because I have, again, more oily skin, so kind of broke up the foundation in the front here for me as I wore it over time, especially in the warmer months. But dry skin types might really like this. Oily skin types might not love this. It was a little too hydrating for me, but I can see if you have dry skin why you would love this if you do. This is said to help maintain skin's barrier function as well as improves the luminosity day after day. So there are skincare benefits in here, which is another don't forget that some of these products have skincare ingredients in them, and that can be a pro or a con based on what you want. Some people don't want skincare ingredients in their foundations because it might react with their skin. Some people do like it, and as I get older, I appreciate skincare benefits in my foundations. So this one does have skincare infused in it, and this particular product seeks to minimize its impact on the environment. Next up, we have the VITALUMIÈRE AQUA. This one is $55 for 1 ounce. We have, let's see, 17 shades here with beige and rosé. 10 beige to 152 is the shade range here. This is more like a water-like consistency, very lightweight. This one has high definition light pigments in it as well. So this helps with that natural radiant appearance. And this one has SPF 15. So that's another don't. Don't forget that 2 of these foundations that I have in this array in front of me have SPF. Now 15 is not enough for me. I definitely want to put more SPF on my face, but 2 products do have SPF 15 in them. Wear time is moderate on this, about 5-6 hours on me. And this is more suited for my combo skin. I don't know how dry skin types would like this product because it does dry down nicely. But I like that this is so lightweight and doesn't really feel like much on the skin at all. Next up, we have the Ultra Le Teint Velvet. Now, this was one that I was not expecting to like because I thought it was going to be really mattifying. Don't think you're going to get very many matte options here. Most of them are a glowy, healthy, luminous finish. It goes along with the whole enhancing the skin kind of finish that most of Chanel products accomplish. Now this one has 13 shades and the shade range is from BD10 to BR152. This has that ultra lightweight texture, which doesn't seem like it would go with that velvety kind of finish that you get, but somehow they've found a really nice combination. This has semi-transparent powders in it, and that helps to give a soft focus effect. It is very natural looking. You have, again, that sheer light to medium coverage, very lightweight. This is one of the more Longwear products and is really suited well for oily skin types or combo skin like mine. And I think that's the part that surprised me, is that it did so well on my skin. I was not expecting it, especially when it said matte. Sometimes when I think matte, I think it's going to be a really flat appearance. This one has that lovely combination of matte with a glow, so it's very skin-like. That is one of the pros, that it is nice and perfecting, but also still lightweight. And because of the semi-transparent powders, you really get that blurring effect on the pores in the front, which is one of the things I really noticed when I tried this out. But one of the cons here is that it might not be the best for dry skin. Then you've got the Ultra Le Teint, and as you can see how it dries down. Like, that is how it dries down and it doesn't move. This was one of the most impressive foundations that I tried, and I think if you are brand new to Chanel, this might be a good place to start because this reminds me more of a traditional foundation where you're going to get coverage. This is one of the ones that they say is more full coverage, medium to full coverage, which I agree with. You can get some really lovely coverage with this one compared to some of the more natural finishes. 35 shades available here, ranging from BD01 to BR172. This is lightweight and fluid, but not as fluid and lightweight as this. This is still more lightweight. You'll see it's not a flat matte. It still has that glow. It's like a satin matte. You've got soft focused powders in here as well, which is another reason I love this. This one also claims to have 24-hour wear, the longest wear of any of the foundations. I have not tested this for 24 hours. I don't know if I've ever worn makeup for 24 hours. At the most, I'll wear it maybe 16 hours. Maybe 16 hours. I can't even remember the last time I wore my makeup that long, but even 12 hours is pushing it. So it's more like 8 hours, 10 hours that I'll wear makeup. This does have one of the longest wears of any of the foundations that I've tried. Pluses are for those oily skin types. This is a really lovely one that does do a nice job of blurring and staying in place. But that is if you have more oily skin. If you have more dry skin, this might be a con for you because you can see how it dries down like this. It really dries down well. So if you have dry skin, you might not love this one as much as if you have more of an oily skin type. It is definitely comfortable and one of those foundations that I can wear and not really remember I even put it on. That's how comfortable it is. And this one retails for $65 for 1 ounce. Next up, we have this one, which was the last foundation I tried. It's the Bois de Chanel. This one has a very limited range. It's got 8 shades available. Again, it's that light, medium, deep coating that they have. They've got N20 light to 120 deep plus. That's another thing. The reason why I chose medium, no, what did I pick? A medium plus. They have a medium plus in there, which is 50. Yeah. So they have N50, which is medium plus, but in the Water Fresh tint, I wear a medium plus and it's just fine. In other foundations, I pick B40. If there's no BD41, I go with B40, a little bit lighter. I know 50 is usually too deep for me, but this says 50 medium plus. So that's another don't. Don't think that each shade coating is going to be the same across products, because BD41 in one product is not going to be the same shade as BD41 in another product. So that is one of my questions about why Chanel does what they do with how they code the shades, because it's really hard to determine, even if you are a loyal Chanel customer, which shade to pick up. It is not very user-friendly to navigate the shades. Back to this. This is $70 for 1 ounce. This is another lightweight liquid kind of foundation. Soft focus microparticles. Again, I really liked the finish on this. I thought it really enhanced the skin and was nearly imperceptible. Wear time was average, about 6 hours. It looked good from beginning to end. I really watch the foundations as I wear them to see what happens, and this one did very well. This is more suited for combo skin. A con here is the shade range. I wish they had more undertones here, because I couldn't really find one that had a more golden undertone that was going to work for me. So I really had to compromise here, because when I look for a foundation, if I don't see something that is very clear, I will go with a shade lighter, but also stick to the same undertone. So I try really hard to stick with a golden undertone, because even if it's a little bit light, it's going to work. But when the undertone is off, it throws everything off. Then we have the Ultra Le Teint Compact. This is the only powder foundation that Chanel offers. I have mine here in B40. This one has 32 shades, ranging from B30 to BR152. $65 for 0.45 ounces. There is a sponge in here, which I have misplaced, but depending on the side of the sponge that you use, you can get more of a dense pigment, or you can get it more sheer. So the sponge can really help you out depending on what kind of coverage you want. This is one of their other foundations with more of a matte finish. This has perfecting powders in there, of course, as a powder product. This is medium to buildable, has more of a long lasting wear, especially for more oily types, because it's absorbing the oil. Some of the pros are that this is one of the easiest products to use because it's a powder. Liquids and creams can get a little bit messy with the application, but this is really easy to travel with. Touch-ups are a lot easier because you're just carrying this compact. Again, more suited to more oily skin types. Cons on this one, I noticed if you're not careful, it can settle into pores, especially right up here in front. I noticed, not all the time, but just depending on the amount I was applying, sometimes it would just build up too much and I could see my pores, so I just have to be really careful with the application. What's nice is that if you do love this, you can just buy refills here. And as I looked on the site for shade offerings, some are only listed as refills, so I'm not quite sure about if you can't buy it in a whole compact, some of the shades, but they are all listed as either in the compact or as refills. Now we've got two of the most expensive items here in their foundations, and that's another don't. Don't think they're all the same price point, because the first few that I talked about kind of are in the same range. These two jump up quite a bit. So there are two here, starting with the Sublimage L'Essence de Teint. This one has 12 in its shade range, ranging from B10 to BR152. This is $150 US for 1.32 ounces. This really melds into the skin. It moisturizes, it plumps. It's got a very lovely serum-y texture. This is thinner than a cream foundation. You can tell probably because of the pump there, which I really like. Has a natural radiant looking complexion. And that's what I love about this, is that it is one of the most beautiful natural foundations, but it's also hydrating. And it's not hydrating in a way that's slipping and sliding all over the face for combination skin, because some of the ones that I've talked about can do that. This one doesn't do that. It's got light to medium coverage. The wear on this is quite nice over the average time. So I'm gonna say 8 hours is a good amount of wear for me on this one. It lasts really well. A con is that I don't rely on this to build up coverage for me. I will go in with concealers to do that job. While it does have a very, very pretty skin enhancing finish, I'm not able to build this up as much as I would. I'd rather use a concealer. So one of the cons here for me is that it's in B40. There's no BD41. So I have to compromise with the undertone here. It is more neutral for me and I go for a more golden undertone. So for me, that is a con. This protects against external aggressors. This is part of the Sublimage line, so it has skincare embedded in there. And this does claim that using this over time will help with skin's luminosity. Then we've got the Sublimage Tint, the one in the jar. This is more of a creamy texture. This one retails for $135. US for 1 ounce. There are 20 shades here with the range of 10 beige to 152 beige rosé. Again, it's in a jar, so we've got this creamier texture here, as you can see. Some of the technology in here is it has that vanilla planifolia, which is present in the Sublimage line. So you get skincare benefits in here. Again, these two are both skincare benefit infused. This has a glowing finish, but it has that diamond powder technology in there. So you're going to get a really pretty glow, but it's also not slipping and sliding all over the place. Glowing, healthy, luminous finish and nice and hydrating. Light to medium coverage, they say, but this is more of a medium coverage. I can get some nice coverage out of this, and this is the one I have on right now. As for the longevity, this is the one that was really put to the test because I had just filmed a video using this and I primed with the La Base Illuminatrice, which is what I have on right now. So I had that on and this, and then it started to rain, and it rained a lot. It rained so much we had to go outside and dig trenches around our house to make sure the water wasn't pooling. It was a deluge of rain. So I had on a raincoat, I was shoveling, rain was everywhere. After a few hours of that, being outside, I looked in the mirror and this makeup looked amazing. I wish I had taken a picture of it because I was so impressed with how this looked. And one of the things I noticed about this particular foundation, this one improves over time. In fact, I've been wearing this foundation for, let me see, about 4 hours now. This foundation on me improves as I wear it. You'll see this whole Get Ready With Me, let me see, in 2 videos from now, you'll see Get Ready With Me because I will also be talking about my Chanel favorites. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed because I love Chanel, and if you're here, you probably love Chanel too. So I'm doing my Chanel favorites of 2023. That's a new thing I'm doing this year because I love the brand and I know so many of you do as well. And then I'm doing a Get Ready With Me. So the whole look here, if you want to see that, that's going to be another video where you can see everything in action. So when you see this one applied, you're going to notice it looks like it's not as hydrating as it looks now, but somehow over time this one improves its appearance. So you'll get to see a comparison because I'm filming all of these in one day, so it's about 4 hours between the time I applied it and right now. Pros for me is that this has beautiful coverage. Also, it has my exact shade that I love. It's in BD41. You can see the difference between B40 and BD41. The undertone is very clear that this has a warmer undertone. Cons of this one, which are something other people have said as well, it's the jar. The jar is just, it is a messy thing for me because I'm more clumsy. It just is a messier kind of experience for me. I know decanting it would be a good idea into something else, like a smaller jar, so I'm not opening this all the time. That is a really good idea. It's kind of like the eye concealer that I also have and love by them. So the jar is a con for me. And another one, because it's part of the Sublimage line, it has skincare in it. Can again be a pro if you are like me. I forgot to mention, I'm 51 years old, so that's something I think about. That is why I like skincare benefits in my makeup, because I'm 51 and anything I can get in there to help, I will happily try it out and see if it works. One other thing with skincare though is that sometimes some people don't get along with the skincare ingredients in makeup, so just something to think about as a potential con. But this is one of the most elegant foundations I've tried. Okay, so really quickly, let me just do a quick rundown of the don'ts we had in here because I kind of wove them in. Don't forget to take into account your climate. Don't forget to think about your skin type. So when you watch videos of people reviewing products, think about, is their skin type like my skin type? Because I've noticed that people who like the things that I like usually have more combo or oily skin types. And if they have dry skin, they usually like the products I am not loving. Again, don't think that Chanel foundations are like other foundations that are out there. They are very lightweight for the most part. They're more light coverage, they're skin enhancing. They don't strive to cover up the skin in most cases. You have a few foundations in here that have the ability to do that, but they are very different than other foundations that I've used from other companies. Don't expect those color codes to be consistent amongst their products. As you can see, we had so many different codes, and even if you can find the same code for 2 different products, the shade might not actually be the same. So there's a lot of trial and error there. So again, if you don't have access to a Chanel counter, find people on YouTube that look like you, see if they have a shade match in anything else, and see what works for them. That's a really good way to go. Actually, that's one of the reasons I started watching YouTube, is to find out my shade match. I try and find people who look like me. Don't think the wear time is the same, but again, that depends on your skin type, because I think drier skin types will have a longer wear on something like this Chanel No. 1 than I do. After a while, this one kind of breaks up on me and starts to come apart. So also depends on the time of year. Next, don't think the price point is the same on all of these, because you saw quite a jump from your standard foundations, which ranged from the 55 to 70 price point, and then almost doubled once we went to the Sublimage line. Although most are in the same range, there are 2 that really are about twice the price. Don't forget, they all have different types of technology in them, and most of them do have the technology that I love, which contributes to a more soft focus effect. The foundations that are categorized as glowing are the Water Fresh Tint, Le Beige Healthy Glow Foundation, Sublimage Le Teint, and No. 1 de Chanel. The foundations they say are more natural are the VITALUMIÈRE AQUA, Sublimage Le Sens de Teint, and the Water Fresh Complexion Touch. And for mattes, the Ultra Le Teint, Ultra Le Teint Powder, and Ultra Le Teint Velvet. For light to medium coverage, we have VITALUMIÈRE AQUA, Water Fresh Tint, Le Beige Healthy Glow Foundation, Sublimage Le Sens de Teint, Ultra Le Teint Velvet, Boy de Chanel, No. 1 de Chanel Revitalizing Foundation. For more medium coverage, the Le Beige Water Fresh Complexion Touch, Ultra Le Teint Powder, Sublimage Le Teint. For medium to full coverage, Ultra Le Teint. And then finally, I'm going to rank the foundations, but I have a few different categories. So let's start off with the appearance, the feel, the overall elegant appearance that I like with foundation, and more of a serious performance. So if I need it to look good for a special occasion, these are the things I'm going to pull for. Starting off with the Sublimage Le Teint, which is what I have on now, and I thought now is a special occasion because I'm talking all about Chanel products, Chanel foundations. I did a whole Chanel video, and to me this is the top performing Chanel foundation, and that is because it looks really beautiful, really elegant on the skin, very skin enhancing, perfect shade match for me. That is huge. If I have a shade match that doesn't work, I'm not going to wear it. So I've got to have a shade match that works really, really well. This also really successfully passed that test of being out in the rain and it looking really beautiful after the fact. And it looks better over time. I love that kind of a foundation. So I consider that top performing for very special events, special occasions. It's flawless. Second best is this Sublimage Le Sens de Teint, and the reason why this isn't the first place but it's still up there is that it has a beautiful finish. I love that it's a bit more sheer, really skin enhancing. I do need to go in with more concealer with this one. It gives a healthy look to the skin. The only issue I have here is that it's in B40. I wish it was in BD41. If it was in BD41, this would definitely be the one I would pull for more often. But I like to pair this with something with a little bit more of a mattifying effect on the front of the face. I might pair it with something like this, the Ultra Le Teint in the center. So that would help mattify the center of my face, but also keep it nice and glowy on the exterior. And speaking of Ultra Le Teint, this would be my next one. Now this one is a serious foundation. So if you like foundations, traditional foundation, you're going to really like this one, especially if you have more oily skin. Great longevity on this one. It just looks pretty hour after hour, and I don't have to worry about this, and it doesn't have that feeling on it. So if you don't want skincare like this in your foundations and you are new to Chanel and you want a foundation, I would definitely consider this one. This one is a little bit more lightweight, like I said. It has a really beautiful finish on my skin type. And remember, this one does have SPF, which is something that I wouldn't count on anyway. I would put SPF under this, but it's a really lovely, lovely finish. And then this one is the Le Beige Water Fresh Tint. This one did not rank as high because in terms of a more perfected appearance, I wouldn't rely on this. This is a really just a sheer veil on the face. It looks lovely. It looks really lovely in person. So that's how I love to wear this the most, is in person, because it is one of those nearly imperceptible products. But if I was going to choose one that's more hydrating that I really liked, it's the No. 1 de Chanel. It was really lovely on the skin. I had to try this a couple of times to really appreciate it, but it does look really lovely on the skin, very hydrating. Now for my most used foundations, it's a different ranking. Starting off with my No. 1, which is the Water Fresh Tint. I mentioned I purchased this over and over again. It's because it's so easy to use. It's one of the easiest products to use, and it has that lovely finish on the skin that just makes it glow and doesn't look like you're wearing makeup. Because my style in real life, not on camera, my style in real life is not to have perfect skin, but a blurred effect. I do have dark spots here. You'll see those when I wear this product, but it works really well with the complexion touch. It's a very pretty skin product where you mostly see skin. So if that's what you like, which is what I like, I would love to not wear foundation at all, but this is as close to no foundation as I'll go, and it still really just enhances the skin. Next up, I would go with the Sublimage Le Teint. I don't wear this as much because I think this is more of a serious foundation, something where I feel like I need it perfected. That's why I don't use it as much, because I don't wear a perfect face of makeup every day. If you do though, I think you might really like this, and if you like skincare benefits, but I personally don't put makeup on like this every day. It's really quite minimal, and the Water Fresh Tint is beautiful for that. But that is the reason I don't use this as much. And it kind of follows in that same order. I don't use this as much either because of the same idea that I don't go for as much of a perfected look every day. But this is a lovely one. I think almost easier to use than this one because it's in a pump. And then this one would be the next one I would use. Again, this is for when I need performance. Then for the daily, if you're more dry, this again would be the one I think would be a really nice selection for you. So let me know if you would choose this or this one, or a different one if you have dry skin. Now for longevity, if I need something to last a long time, this is the one I'm going to choose. If I know I'm going somewhere, I need it really to last all day, regardless of the weather, I'm gonna go with this one. This is the Ultra Le Teint. This is the 24-hour wear one, so I'm not surprised this is the one, but I will definitely use this one. Except when it's hot. When it's hot, I don't want to wear a lot of makeup, but if I do need my makeup to last, I will use the Water Fresh Tint. This is really comfortable on the skin in hot weather. I feel like my skin can breathe a little bit more. Then I'll go with this product for longevity. As you know, with the La Base Illuminatrice, this one did a really nice job, but I don't always need it perfected when I'm wearing it for a long time, so that's why it's not number one on that list, but it did a really nice job with that base. And then the Ultra Le Teint Velvet does a really nice job as well, so I would definitely consider wearing this. If I need something a little bit more lightweight, but still a little bit more perfected, this one has a nice longevity to it. For more dry skin types, either one of these, I think these would be really nice for more dry skin types. I keep holding this one up just because I remember how hydrating this was, but this is quite hydrating as well. And then my number one product that I take on vacation with me, because I am definitely more casual on foundation. I'm definitely more casual when it comes to vacation, so I don't want to spend all kinds of time on my makeup. I just want it to look nice enough and evened out skin tone. And it's usually for the evening because in the day I'm usually wearing just SPF. So this is the one that is my number one vacation take with me foundation. It's the La Beige Water Fresh Tint. And it's so easy to travel with. I love this little travel size if you don't have this one. I love the travel size as well, but it's the easiest one to travel with, especially in the summer. So if I wear any foundation, it's gonna just be this, and it's gonna make my skin look really pretty. But I hope this was informative because I tried to include all the aspects that Chanel claims for each of these foundations, as well as to give you my experience with them. Again, this is one person's experience with combination skin, and I'm 51. That's another thing to take into account. What are the things you're looking for with your skin based on where your skin is in time? Because I think what I look for now is different than what I looked for when I was younger. I was actually looking for more coverage back then. Now I really appreciate seeing skin, so I do like that Chanel focuses on enhancing the skin versus covering the skin. But I'd love to know what your experience is with these products, which ones you love, based on your skin type, based on your climate, based on the needs of your skin. And then I'd love to know what the needs of your skin are. So like I said, my skin is more mature, so I have different needs and I like the skincare in there. But definitely leave in the comment section below all of your thoughts about these foundations. And I tried to cover as much as I could, but I'm sure there are other questions out there, so please leave them in the comment section below. And if I can't answer them, I'm sure there is someone who is really well versed in Chanel foundations that can also leave some helpful information. But again, upcoming videos are my Chanel favorites of 2023, as well as this Get Ready With Me featuring my Chanel favorites of 2023. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well if you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.